Hey everybody, Cilantro here. Welcome back to ArcheAge Inspirations. Been getting a little bit of feedback between Reddit and the comments and a few conversations with people on my live stream about this series. And a lot of you guys have been suggesting that I actually show these builds in action, which makes sense. I was mostly concerned about two things with related to that. Firstly, that I don't have the best gear for every potential setup. A lot of the builds that I may be building may require certain gear setups just to even be functional. So if I do show things off, they may not show things as they could potentially be. But, you know, that's fine. Not everybody's going to have the ideal gear at any given time. So I'm just going to try to use what I have and make the best of it. And secondly, and this is kind of the other thing, is it's going to take me a lot more time to do these videos on a daily basis if I decide to do, you know, actual in-depth exploration. Like if I show off a PvE build, I'm going to have to get a group for GHA, which can often be a problem, and so on. But I'll do what I can. You know, if I feel like there's something that should be captured about a build, then so be it. So I'm going to go ahead and roll the dice for today's episode, and I'll be just back in a minute. Alright, interestingly enough, today's roll was 179, which, if I show you here, Battle Rage Oromancy Shadow Play. This is a very well-known and considered to be, by most, one of the highest tier builds in the current metagame right now, the Darkrunner. Darkrunner is quite well specialized in 1v1 situations, even quite good in small-scale group PvP and large-scale group PvP. They have excellent mobility, high damage, you know, decent survivability, and just overall a very solid melee build. So rather than showing you sort of the bog standard and battle-tested Darkrunner take, I wanted to do things slightly differently by trying to open things up a little bit more for group utility. If you've noticed so far in the series, I tend to put an emphasis on group PvP play, and that's because I really believe that the strengths of the PvP experience in this game are all related to group play. And I feel like players should build more often to have builds that are effective in group play in terms of bringing more support to the table and so on. So I sacrificed a little bit of the utility in terms of the damage potential and CC potential in exchange for more group support things. For example, I have Comet's Boon, which is, I think, an underrated ability. It's a linear attack with quite a long range and radius, and any of your allies that are hit with it, including yourself, or any of your allies that stand in it, get an increased amount of move speed. This allows for Darkrunner's mobility suite to not only be widened up a little bit to include extra run speed if needed, but also to help support your other teammates with said run speed, which is, I think, often handy. Similarly, we have Sunder Earth here. The range on it is not very good, only 9 meters, and the damage isn't phenomenal, but it does inflict a snare, which is nice, and any of your allies that are actually along the range of the fault get a damage reduction, 20% damage, less damage taken for 7 seconds. Quite a nice little buff. Also, it grants you some Inspire stacks, which is nice. This synergies as well with Comet's Boon, boosting its damage slightly, but also helping to ensure that you have multiple sources of Inspire stacks. Because Comet's Boon consumes Inspire stacks, it's nice to be able to thwart Comet's Boon and then use Sunder Earth. Likewise, Thwart's debuffing ability could be potentially very strong here. So the goal with this build and this take on Darkrunner is to be extremely mobile. We've taken Charge, we have Tiger Strike, Overwhelm, Drop Back, Shadow Step, and Teleportation. All different pieces of the mobility chain in addition to the aforementioned Comet's Boon. In addition, we're taking Lasso here as a way to break up and help initiate group fights. You could do something like teleport forward, lasso a target from an enemy group, and then drop back, hoping that your ranged you know, DPS and casters in your group can continue to CC chain. Or alternatively, you could advance lasso and start your own chain of CC with you know, the usual Charge, Overwhelm, Shadow Smite, and all the sort of things that Battle Rage and Shadow Play show off with all their synergies. I did go ahead and choose to get a spammable attack just in case just more pure damage is needed and all the rest of our cooldowns are available. So I chose Triple Slash because of its inherent CC elements and the fact that it deals the Shaken debuff as well as Thwart does, rather than taking Rapid Strike. Rapid Strike is very good, but it requires a little bit more focus. I don't think will do quite as much damage. Now, as I mentioned, my gear is not exactly the best for this setup. All I can really bring to the table is a more or less green, largely green set of GHA plate, which isn't even complete. I haven't had a chance to get the belt yet. And similarly, the only weapon that I have that could even be remotely used for this is the Healing Great Club. So gear is not exactly ideal, but I've got to make do with what I have to try to show off things in this video. So I'm going to try to actually set up my hotbars, go get a little bit of practice on some mobs for this spec, and then go try queuing in some 5v5 arenas to see if I can't get any footage of this thing actually working how I envision it to. So I'll be back. So I wasn't actually able to record any arena footage today, unfortunately, due to long queue times and a few groups that fell apart. The 5v5 arena can be a little unreliable at times in the game, unfortunately. But I figured instead I would show you guys a few of the combos that I've discovered. I mean, some of them are pretty well known and have their own variations, and as always, I encourage people to experiment and personalize your build in any way that you can. But in the meantime, I think one of the more powerful potential ability combos for this particular setup is using drop back as an approach, actually, or repositioning in combat, following that up with Comet's Boon for a move speed boost to yourself, a little bit of damage, and also move speed boost to any other allies who are approaching in combat, whether it's archers who need to get a little closer to get their attacks done, or what have you. And then Sunder Earth, which will inflict some damage, a snare, and give a damage-reducing buff in the area where you actually engage the enemy. This is a good potential combination to use to help a tank who's initiated, a PvP tank who's initiated the fight. I normally play a Skull Knight, and I would love to see a Darkrunner follow up my initiation with this sort of thing. So my Skull Knight, I would blink in, I would Vicious Implosion everybody near me, and then do an AoE stun with Impale. Then a Darkrunner could come in and use the Sunder Earth and Comet's Boon to weaken them up a little bit, snare them. And then if they had Whirlwind Slash, they could also do that. I chose not to take it with this particular build just due to the overall hungriness of points that are sort of needed for this style of combat. But the choice is yours. It's all up to whatever you feel is best. So just to try to easily set this up here, ran out of Inspire stacks. I'm going to go ahead and just get my Inspire stacks built up, and I'm going to backflip towards this Enraged Giant. And hopefully if I have my my distance gauged properly, I'll actually be able to do this. All these sorts of things take practice, and one of the challenges with making this video series that I'm giving myself is to try to get at least a little bit of practice in with some of these builds to get a good baseline of actual experience to see if the combos that look good on paper can actually work out. Now, I do believe that due to the 2.5 second window you're given when you do a drop back, you do actually have to have 3 Inspire stacks, or maybe 2, but at least 2 or 3 Inspire stacks to get your skill cooldown reduced. The skill cooldown listed here is basically the global cooldown anytime you use an ability that's instantly available. Normally, I believe the global cooldown is about 1.5 seconds, so getting a 20% discount on that would make it a second, 1.2 seconds, just barely allowing you to get the instant cast on Sunder Earth if you are spamming the keys as quickly as possible and otherwise just time things properly. So let's give it a shot, and we'll see if I can do it. So just to make this a little easier, obviously you'll be doing this in a more active environment. I'm going to kind of get into the rough position where I think it is, and then rotate the camera around so I can get a very easy backflip. Looks like the Giant's approaching a little bit, so I just want to make sure I get this right. So, and this looks about good. Pop an Inspire here. And so now I'm going to backflip, immediately Comet's Boon, and hit the wrong button. So let's try this again. I mentioned how important it is to actually get the right hotkeys. I'm just going to, let's see here. I'm just going to let this guy de-aggro, I guess. Derp. But in the meantime, the next thing I'm going to show you after I take care of this, by the way, I don't like editing videos, so screw it. You guys are going to get to see me mess up horribly and hit the wrong hotkey. The next combo I'm going to show you guys is sort of the basic standard array of combat stuff that you usually do. He just teleported. That you usually do when you start a fight, or one of the options at least. And I'll go over that here in just a minute. Because I think sometimes it's important to go over the basics. I shouldn't be assuming that people really know Darkrunner very well. In fact, I probably don't even really know Darkrunner very well, and there's likely better combos to initiate fights than I could even think of. So, as always, if you guys have comments, please let me know. So, let's try this again. Find about the right distance, and we're going to backflip, Comet's Boon, and Sunder Earth, and as you can see I got it off successfully. Now this little bit of land here, this circle, gives me a 20% damage reduction boost while I stand in it for a few seconds. So again, if that's properly positioned, you'll be in a good shape to help support your tank or whoever is in that area. Or if you just happen to hit enemies, it'll debuff them quite heavily and give just you yourself some protection. So nothing wrong with that. Anyway, the standard combo that's kind of used usually is you'll do Stalker's Mark into Overwhelm, follow up with Shadow Smite and Precision Strike, and then if you want you can charge and then start doing regular attacks if you so wish. Looks like this guy's about dead, so I'll just go ahead and finish him off here with a few other odds and ends attacks just to make this quick, and I'll go find a fresh victim for my next little bit of the combo here. So there we go. Knock him out and get myself a Jester's Coin Purse, and we'll try this guy out as soon as my charge is available. The nice thing about charging and then going right into Triple Slash is that Triple Slash has a chance to reset the cooldown of charge, which allows you to then potentially charge again and inflict a snare, which is kind of nice to help debuff things. And if you do combo it here and they are snared, you'll get another trip off of Triple Slash, so pretty nice. So we're going to do Stalker's Mark into Overwhelm. And I'm going to miss. Okay, so pretending that I hit him, I'm going to Shadow Smite, Precision Strike, Charge, and then finally get the rest of the stuff out there. So, you know, if you're not bad like me and you actually, you know, land your attacks when you're supposed to when you're recording a YouTube tutorial, you'll actually see that combo go off in its full glory. But that's pretty much all I really had to say about Darkrunner for here. Again, a build that's already, you know, tried and tested, very powerful, but I think one that still has a little bit of wiggle room. And if you specialize your build for whatever scenarios you're getting into, whether you're expecting, you know, to fight one person or 100, you'll find yourself being a little bit more successful. And there's nothing wrong with making a build that you feel is reasonably good in all situations. That's the lovely thing about the ArcheAge class system, is within any 3 trees there's so many different synergies and so many abilities that have different purposes, some specific, some general, that allows you to really customize your character in a way that not many MMOs can actually achieve. So, yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.